Hello, lovely souls. Thank you for joining with me on these random videos where I share just what's coming through my noggin. I'm grateful to join with you and to learn from you and alongside of you. This community has supported my own healing in many, many ways every day. So thank you. So I'm capturing what it is to stop in our progress of healing. And this could be physical healing if you are suffering through illness right now, or this could be emotional healing, not quite overcoming a hurdle in our thought process, or releasing a story, releasing idea, even though we know we want to. We could have the willingness to do it. That is a part of it. And the first step in healing is having the willingness to heal and surrender. You may notice, as I have, these periods where we stop in our tracks. We feel stuck a lot of the times, is the language that we use. I feel stuck. What's happening here is we realize, either consciously or subconsciously, that a change is about to take place. And that's scary. Of course it's scary. We may anticipate a physical change in relationships, in our careers, in our living situations, who we associate with, stepping into being a part of community in a different way. Yeah, and that's scary. And of course it's scary because if we look at this more logically, more scientifically, on like it's cold out, yet you want to go into the hot tub, right? You're freezing. And there's that abrupt change in temperature when you dip your tootsies into the hot tub. That's uncomfortable. At least for me it is, right? Or if those of you who have done polar plunges or cryotherapy, there's an abrupt change in temperature, which makes the practice brilliant, I think, because it forces us in a controlled way to experience great change and learning to keep our energy levels in balance along the way. So when we sense that there is a big change coming within ourselves and we aren't quite ready to move forward into that, healing stops. And this isn't a bad thing. I want to look at this and invite you to look at this with me neutrally, that nothing is bad. And when we feel stuck and when our healing is at its pause, it is because we have some understanding to gain, some faith to grow before we move into that next level of evolution. So I'm saying it this way because I want us to stop judging ourselves for the pace at which we heal. Healing happens slowly. It may seem, especially in these last couple of years, that healing is happening rapidly. It's happening very slowly. Great change may be happening within our lives, but the process at which we heal is very slow. Otherwise, the system goes into shock, right? We have to ease on into it. We don't just jump into a polar plunge without preparing. That's how we can get very sick. We have to prepare ourselves. So if you are feeling stuck right now, or you're feeling like you're moving at a very, very, very slow pace or not progressing at all, I want you to listen to this with me and release judgment as to how you're supposed to heal through this, and be present with what is coming up in every single moment, because there is an understanding that we have yet to gain about our lives, about why we've even made it to this moment. And even we assume, I talked about this, I think it was last week, but we assume the worst case scenario. What if the change that's about to happen isn't the worst case scenario? What if it's the greatest case scenario? It's always good, right? God is good. It's all good. So assuming the best case scenario, releasing any idea of what that may be, and simply being present with what's coming up in this moment. So if you have a relationship right now that you're struggling in, there's your work, right? If you're showing up to work every day and feeling angry about having to be there, there's your work. If you are not motivated to, do your walk every day or eat your nourishing food, there's your work. So the progress isn't going to happen in these, maybe big grandiose ways that we are wanting to happen right now, because we need to prepare our inner world to receive the blessing of the change that's going to happen. And I'm going to throw in the word resistance. There's resistance to that change. And so if you're noticing a lack of motivation, that's procrastination. We can sense, whether we realize what the change is going to be or not, we can sense that what we are about to do is something that we are not comfortable doing yet. So we procrastinate. We distract ourselves by scrolling on our phones, or not taking good care of our bodies, or engaging in unhealthy relationships, or drinking alcohol, or, smoking weed all day, or whatever it is that we do to distract ourselves from actually making the conscious change to shift the inner world. And I'm speaking about this as an inner world experience because it doesn't matter what happens outside of you. And I mean that for myself. I look at my life, and so many things have changed in the last 38 years of my life. I'm 38 years old, that I had no direct control over. I didn't choose how people interacted around me that made me, feel feelings of uncomfort, but it happened. But what I'm interested in is how I evolved as a spiritual being through all of the changes in my life. And all of the external circumstances are reflected by what we have yet to understand in our inner world. So when we are at a stopping point in our healing, I invite in the word thank you, because clearly I'm not ready for what I'm about to settle into. And prepare my heart. That is a prayer that I say often. Prepare my heart for what is about to change within me. And the change that takes place is looking at the deep part of our being, the back of the closet that we have hidden away from the conscious mind. It's scary. How I kind of started talking about this was that change is scary. What's happening is we are looking at all of the secrets that we have hid from the conscious mind. This is too difficult to feel. This is too difficult to acknowledge. I'm just going to shovel this away in the back of my closet. It's how I used to clean my room when I was a kid. Very messy person, by the way. My mom, she'd say, "Oh, go clean your room." Oh, okay. Meanwhile, I'll be shoving stuff under my bed and in my closet. And then she'd come in, she'd be like, oh, it's so clean. And then like a week later, she'd look at my closet and, roll her eyes. But yeah, that's what we do. And it's not bad. Let's look at this neutrally. Let's look at this without judgment. It's because we aren't yet prepared to feel all of the feelings that are associated with reality. If we have really difficult trauma still cycling in our mind, that may take a minute to develop the strong enough faith to fully understand and acknowledge what happened. It's like if we see something horrible on TV or witness an accident, right? Like, we don't want to look at it. It's hard. It's hard to see pain. And not just our own pain, because we have these really magical, empathetic hearts. Not only our own pain, but the pain of all involved in the situations that we experience. So if you experienced physical or emotional abuse, not only are you working through understanding how you feel about it, but also the pain of the one who is creating the harm. And it's all a demonstration that we are not okay, that we are all hurting. When we act against somebody, we are hurting, we are hating ourselves, we are angry that life didn't turn out the way that we wanted it to. And I also want to say that it doesn't need to stay that way. We get to choose the perspective of our world. And some of us have chosen that it's safer to see the world as dangerous. And I think that is because it helps us predict the danger in the world. If we do not establish open relationships with other people, if we do not share our hearts with others, or our hearts aren't open to others, it's more predictable that way to see, well, then they just won't stick around in my life. That's safer. Or if we create this fantasy of, all of life is beauty and everything's a miracle. And I say that sometimes, don't I? Everything's a miracle. And I believe that. And miracles aren't always pleasant. They're not always pleasant. Which is why I say thank you for the pain that I'm in. Because it's divine intervention. And to me, that's a miracle. It's the acknowledgement that I know nothing in this moment. I know nothing. And wow, thank you for caring for me in this way to show me where I'm still wounded. But instead of looking at these wounds, we can create these fantasy worlds where, love is everywhere. And it's this denial that pain exists too. It's a denial of our own pain. So what I'm coming to understand is that there is a balance in this human experience of pain and suffering, which we cannot avoid. I don't care how much of an understanding we gain in this human body, we cannot avoid suffering and bliss in these moments of relief from our suffering. And we need both to get the most out of this human experience, because without suffering, there's no gratitude. There's no relief because we wouldn't recognize it if it came. And to have the suffering, that's where all the learning is. That's where we get to deepen our understanding of love, of unconditional love. And that is in itself, I think we try to soften the blow of the highs and the lows of the human experience, where we don't want to get too excited about something because, it's just going to drop back down, right? It's the sine wave, the sound wave. Or if we can feel suffering coming to the surface, we don't want to drop too down deep into that. For me, it's because I think I'm going to get stuck there. You ever feel that way? I don't want to go too deep. I might not be able to find my way out of this hole. But look at the seasons, spring, summer, winter, fall. You know what the seasons are. Nope, I had those in different order. Spring, summer, fall, winter. The cycle, it's the law of nature. It's all cyclical. So when we go down, we're going to go back up. We can verify that in nature. So the practice for this is to, as always, be present. In the present moment, sense the resistance to that inner change. And we can be as willing as we want, or we can be as willing and have a willing heart. But if the mind isn't on board with it yet, if it doesn't understand the benefit of moving forward, it's not going to move forward. It's going to stay locked down in that trauma, locked down in the comfort of the familiar, even if that familiar is killing us. And the more we resist, the more energy it takes to hold up that old story, and the sicker we become. So where are we resisting? What are we not yet wanting to acknowledge? What are we afraid of? And where are we not in faith that however the inner world transforms, that it is good, that it is good. All change is good. All change is good. Prepare my heart for this inner change. Walk me through, hold my hand, soothe me, strengthen me. I am willing. Take me through. Namaste.